Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing another buffed Pokemon from the Season 26 Balance Update, and that is Flamigo. Now these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Maki DK, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Flamigo upon release had really good charge moves, Upper Hand and Brave Bird, but unfortunately Double Kick didn't have amazing synergy with that moveset. However, with the newly buffed Wing Attack, Flamigo now has far better synergy as it's straight 5 to Upper Hand, and it can prove to be a bit of a nuisance as an anti-meta core breaker for quite a few teams. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And Flamigo off to a strong start as in game number 1 it leads into Annihilate. Opponent safe switches into Shadow Drapion, and that is a very nice catch and sneak of the Aqua Tail onto Greedent. Greedent catching the Aqua Tail puts the Drapion at such a negative spot. Drapion normally with 2 crunches and the Poison Stings can come pretty close to knocking out, but by catching the Aqua Tail, Drapion's next crunch is simply not going to do enough, and Greedent knows it. Greedent with an O-Shield crunch lands, Greedent survives very comfortably, and now he's going to be able to secure the knockout or a shield with the Body Slam. Drapion is not going to get the farm down before another Body Slam is reached, so Drapion will be forced to CMB tie once again. Greedent gonna try and keep switch advantage. If the opponent double shields, they may be able to Poison Sting down. And they're going to do just that, so Flamigo pivots in. There's the Aqua Tail from the Drapion. But now the opponent is gonna have to deal with a Flamigo that is up a ton of energy. They stay in, they concede the farm down to the Flamigo. Oh no. And then they send in Licky Licky. Licky Licky is about to get absolutely destroyed by Upper Hands. There's Upper Hand number 1. Opponent tries for a catch onto Annihilate, and they do not get it. And Flamigo is just popping off. Brave Bird taking the one-hit knockout. Back in comes the Licky Licky. And that is a full 1v3 sweep. Flamigo taking all 3 knockouts. And that is a good game. Hopping into game number 2, picking up a pretty nice lead Flamigo into Empoleon. Flamigo will win charge attack priority here. And that's pretty nice for Flamigo because that means Flamigo will be able to dictate this matchup. Flamigo unleashes Upper Hand, shield comes up from the Empoleon. Empoleon gonna farm up to the back-to-back, and Flamigo is more than happy to put up the shield. Dropek comes out from the Empoleon. Empoleon tries to catch out of the matchup and is unsuccessful, and now in comes Altaria. Flamigo goes for the Brave Bird, that is devastating damage, and in comes Credilli for a very slow acid farm down. Altaria is going to make back-to-back Sky Attacks, but that's just simply not a problem for Credilli. Credilli will be able to absorb that damage and make it pretty close to the back-to-back Grass Knots for when Empoleon hits the field once again. Sky Attack does get Credilli quite low, but Credilli should only be 1 off of the back-to-back moves. Back in comes Empoleon, Metal Sound comes through as the Grass Knot will be launched. Grass Knot gets Empoleon very low, aggressive pivot into Greedent, preserving that energy for later. Greedent will take quite a bit of damage from the Hydro Cannon, and in the back, it is a Shadow Sableye, and Greedent is beautifully positioned to put a massive amount of damage onto the Sableye. Trailblaze is going to land. Sableye did not want to shield the first, but the Sableye's already lost half of their health. And if they go for foul play, I'm pretty confident Greedent can hold on here. Greedent survives. Shadow Sableye hits so hard, but Greedent is the definition of bulk. There's the switch into Credilli and the combo play, and that should do it. As unfortunately for the opponent, down goes the Sableye. All they have left is the Empoleon, and Flamigo should be able to very comfortably make the upper hand and take the win. Switch Timer will not be available for a catch, but it won't be needed, as the opponent just simply cannot make the back-to-back charge attacks, and they can't farm down either. Flamigo makes the upper hand, taking down Empoleon to secure another win. We move to game number 3, Flamigo versus Shadow Pidgeot. Now this is a pretty bad lead. The same switch into Greedent. It's actually going to be a Gust Pidgeot, which is a bit of a surprise. Greedent going to be firing off Body Slam. His Body Slam will do some pretty valuable chip damage onto the Pidgeot. Pidgeot only throws 4, and I believe it's 5 to the Brave Bird, so this is a pretty easy no-shield. Pidgeot goes for the Air Cutter, fishing for a boost. They now send in a Garchomp. It looks like the Garchomp did actually get 1 turn bring in, so the opponent did not click that fast enough. And Garchomp is in a spot that it does not want to be in. Garchomp can be incredibly oppressive, but you do not want to throw a Garchomp onto the field when you're down so much energy. Greedent's able to get big damage, force a shield, and now in comes Flamigo. Flamigo shields up the Twister. Flamigo just going to look for a 2-shield farm down and just try and overwhelm the remaining Pokemon with this energy head start. Back in comes the Pidgeot. Pidgeot's probably going to have to shield this. This upper hand is going to hurt. Pidgeot no shields, and that's going to cost them as they get Wing Attack down. Flamigo exits with a little bit of residual energy, but importantly with about half of its HP still intact. Opponent reveals their final Pokemon is Swampert. Flamigo overfarms, playing to the CMP tie. And with Flamigo's sky-high attack stat, you better believe it's winning that CMP tie over the Swampert. Swampert now has no residual energy, and that's going to be a big problem as they don't have any shields either. In comes Credilli, and Credilli just has to make sure that a charge stack does not get caught here. Swampert lands the Hydro Cannon that does do some pretty significant damage. Very nice turn weight. In comes the Garchomp, in comes the Greedent, and the opponent is going to concede the match. We move to game number 4, Flamigo into a Purified Altaria. Now this, I imagine, is not a great matchup for the Flamigo because Flamigo will get outpaced. Altaria actually not going to fire off its energy, instead letting the Flamigo get there. Flamigo goes for the Brave Bird. That damage is devastating, and now in comes Greedent, more than happy to absorb the Sky Attack. Opponent is going to be sending in Empoleon, but that is not the normal Empoleon. It's instead going to be Waterfall. Waterfalls do add up because this team does not have a resistance to water, and Greedent can probably consider shielding because this is the best option for getting rid of the Empoleon. So now Greedent will get to farm up quite a bit of energy. The boosted Trailblaze will be enough to threaten a KO onto the Empoleon. There isn't any energy on the Flamigo, which makes things a little bit tricky. Empoleon looks like they're maybe trying to farm down, and I think that's going to backfire because they just don't have the fast move pressure. Greedent, oh my goodness, Greedent making another body slam. Waterfall, Empoleon in shambles. They lose all their shields, all their energy, and if I'm them, I would probably be looking for the top left button. In comes Credilli. Altaria should make a last-second Sky Attack, but there's a 2 shield advantage, and either Credilli or Flamigo should be able to sweep this game. Credilli gets the farm down. In the back is Greedent, and that would have been the Flamigo show. Opponent does not want to play anymore, and they will concede the match. We move to the next match, picking up a pretty solid lead. Flamigo into Swampert. Swampert will have a slight pacing advantage here since it's now on the 5-4 pacing. I imagine Hydro Cannon will do a ton of damage to Flamigo, but importantly, Flamigo should be able to survive it. Flamigo building up to the Brave Bird, gonna bait with the upper hand, getting the shield from the Swampert, and getting a catch onto the Greedent. Flamigo is now preserved at basically full HP with very close to an upper hand stored. I'm expecting the opponent to try and catch the Trailblaze here, but no, they actually stay on the field. How are you a Swampert team that does not have a grass resistance in the back that you could catch the Trailblaze on? Either way, they're going to have to give up the shield or lose their entire Swampert. They just let the entire Swampert go and send in Altaria. They would have been way better off had they just done 5 mud shots at the Swampert and caught the Trailblaze onto the Altaria, because now they lost their entire Swampert, their Altaria gets chipped and is now in Acid plus Rock Tomb range. So I think they definitely could have played this game a lot cleaner, because they basically lost their Swampert for free, and there's a Flamigo with a ton of energy and a shield. And that's going to be a problem for most Pokemon that you can see in the back. Rock Tomb lands, there's a switch out. In the back is a Dusknoir. This is not the Shadow Dusknoir, however. This is the regular Dusknoir. Regular Dusknoir, not a Pokemon that's seen too frequently. In comes Flamigo. Flamigo going for the double resisted upper hand. Just gonna fish for debuffs. Dusknoir with the no shield. These wing attacks will add up, however, so honestly, going for the upper hand, genuinely not the worst play. Shadow Punch will be shielded. Flamigo would love the wing attack down. Can't get it, instead gonna have to CMP tie upper hand with the Shadow Punch. Upper hand into the Dusknoir, does get the shield and does get the debuff. Would have been really nice to get the debuff on the first, however. A Shadow Punch gets Flamigo low. Credilli met with the Altaria. Altaria fires off the Sky Attack. This game will come down to the wire. Sky Attack takes the knockout. Flamigo is so low. Does a Wing Attack KO? No, it does not. 1 HP survive from the Dusknoir. And unfortunately, that game will end in defeat. Incredibly good lead in the next match. Flamigo into Galarian Moltres. As long as shields are up, Flamigo is going to absolutely destroy Galarian Moltres in this matchup. Flamigo builds up to Brave Bird, CMP ties with the upper hand bait, and that's exactly what Flamigo wanted to see. The shield on the upper hand bait. Now Flamigo can look to overfarm and CMP tie with the Brave Bird. Sucker Punch is really not doing a lot. Opponent tries for an upper hand catch onto Corsola, and this is gonna hurt. Brave Bird lands, Corsola gets rocked, in comes Greedent, and Greedent is gonna have such a comfortable matchup. Corsola overfarms, fires off the Power Gem, but this will work out very nicely for the Greedent, as Greedent can basically just farm to 100 before going for the Trailblaze. This means Greedent now gets to exit with quite a lot of residual energy, and it gets to exit at +1 attack. In comes Galarian Moltres. Moltres banked a fly, but Greedent's not going to care about this fly. The fly lands, Greedent survives almost at 2 more body slams. Greedent just an absolute force of nature in this early day Great League meta. Opponent sends in a Shadow Kanto Marowak, and it's a simultaneous switch with the Flamigo. And Flamigo should be able to inflict just devastating damage onto this Marowak. Marowak overfarms, plays to a CMP tie that they do not win, and it's just all going wrong for the opponent. Upper hand gets the debuff as well. Does this now allow Flamigo to get the wing attack down? It's going to be close. No, it does not. Marowak barely able to hang on, but I mean, the damage is already done. The Greedent is very close to a move. In comes the Greedent. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Hopping to the next game, leading Flamigo into Jellicent. Now, this is a pretty tough matchup for Flamigo. Flamigo gonna stay in this matchup and just going straight for the Brave Bird, hoping the opponent will try and call an upper hand bait. Brave Bird, big damage, and the catch onto Greedent. Oh, please tell me this is the Shadow Ball. No, it's the Surf. You know what? Still a worthwhile catch onto the Greedent, because even a Surf would have done critical damage onto the -3 Flamigo. Body Slam shielded up by Shadow Toucanon. Shadow Toucanon, I imagine Drill Peck can probably take the knockout here, but I'm not 100% sure. It seems that Greedent definitely thinks so, because Greedent will put up the shield and fire off the Body Slam. Toucanon can survive a Body Slam, and they are going to be no shielding. Toucanon definitely could have overfarmed more, so the opponent definitely not being precise in their overfarms, but they're still in a very advantageous position as in comes Credilli. Shadow Beak Blast is just so effective at threatening shields. If Credilli no shields, it's going to get absolutely destroyed. So Credilli is forced to burn a shield, and that's a bit of a problem. In comes Jellicent. Oh my goodness, Jellicent, 1 HP remaining, barely able to make a last-second Surf. It all comes down to a shieldless Flamigo, and that is a Pokemon that a shieldless Flamigo can beat, because Credilli will be able to apply not 1 but 2 Rock Tomb debuffs, and then it's going to be the Flamigo show. Rock Tomb gets shielded, in comes Flamigo. That's absolutely not where the opponent had to use their final shield, but I think even if they saved the shields for Flamigo, at 2 stages of debuff, the game was over anyway, because Flamigo would have taken those charge stacks very, very comfortably. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Flamigo into Alolan Sandslash. Now, this team is ABA weak to Alolan Sandslash. I'm not personally a big believer of Alolan Sandslash in this meta, but unfortunately, it appears this opponent is, and their Sandslash plus Moltres core is going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Greedent is going to start spamming out Body Slams. The funny thing is Galarian Moltres cannot even farm down here. Moltres is going to have to throw energy. Even with getting all that chip damage, Greedent is just simply too spammy. Moltres is going to win charge attack priority over the Greedent, taking the knockout with the Fly. If there's a win con in this game, it lies with going for a farm down with the Flamigo. Flamigo, if it can get enough energy, upper hands will threaten that Alolan Sandslash, but the Credilli in the back, this is still going to be very tough. You have to hope the opponent brings in the Sandslash, but they could very well just bring in their third. They're waiting down the timer. They bring in, oh, that's not the Sandslash. That is a Jellicent, and unfortunately, that is probably going to seal this game. Brave Bird gets shielded, Flamigo staying in. Flamigo banks a ton of energy, the pivot into Credilli, and that's going to be answered with the Sandslash. But unfortunately, Sandslash never has a reason to ever shield the move from Credilli, and that's because they know there's back-to-back upper hands loaded. So as long as the opponent basically just never shields the Sandslash against Credilli, they just simply do not have a lose con because they still have a full HP Jellicent. The Sandslash will overfarm nicely, taking the knockout with the Ice Punch, and there's just no win con in this game. Flamigo is getting destroyed by the Powder Snows. Flamigo will be able to take the knockout with the upper hand, but there's still just a Jellicent with a shield. The one win con, the Hail Mary Brave Bird. Maybe there's a chance. Maybe they forget to shield. No, they don't. I saw the pop-up and I thought for a second maybe there was a chance, but sadly there was not, and the opponent will get the win. Tough lead returns in the next match, Flamigo into Jellicent. Last time, Flamigo was just able to land the Brave Bird, and that made things a lot easier. Flamigo tried to strike gold twice, and once again gets to land the Brave Bird onto the Jellicent. The catch onto Greedent. This time it's a Shadow Ball catch, and the opponent's going to be sending in Wigglytuff. Greedent is a lot better into Wigglytuff than Licky Licky, just because Greedent is able to boost itself up with Trailblaze. Greedent also has slightly faster pacing, and being able to boost yourself means that when Wigglytuff debuffs you, you're still in a pretty fine spot. Body Slams are doing huge damage. Wigglytuff fires off its charge stack on alignment, which is a pretty big misplay. They go for the Icy Wind, and look at Greedent go. Greedent just absolutely bullying this Wigglytuff. Body Slam lands. That's going to be the end of Wigglytuff. In comes a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales, and that's going to be swiftly answered with the Credilli. This definitely feels like an uphill battle. Ice is so strong into this team once the Greedent has been KO'd. So even though the Jellicent is basically at 1 HP and an entire Wigglytuff has been KO'd, it still feels like this game could end in defeat. Credilli has already had to burn both Protect Shields. Credilli will get to apply a Rock Tomb debuff. These Powder Snows are absolutely shredding. Credilli now has the Rock Tomb. Opponent has to hope that this will KO. It does not. There's their catch attempt, but it's a simul switch Flamigo into Jellicent. Back in comes the Ninetales, Flamigo overfarming, playing to the CMP tie that it does win, and that is going to secure the win. Because Alolan Ninetales is locked into the Weather Ball, Flamigo is so glassy that they're getting knocked out no matter what, and the Credilli is in the back, very low HP, but the Rock Tomb loaded. This team, pretty soft to Jellicent leads, but able to make it work and get the win. All in all, Flamigo looks to be an incredibly fun Spice Pokemon to run in the Open Grade League. It's not meta by any means, just due to the fact that it is insanely attack weighted. Like, this Pokemon's attack stat rivals Morpeko, but I think it's a really nice adjustment so that way it can switch off of Double Kick to Wing Attack. Wing Attack lets it behave more as a flyer rather than as a fighter, whereas previously, if it was ever in a matchup where it was going up against something where you needed flying type damage, it was just kind of slow to get to, and the fact that it took 4 double kicks to make the first upper hand really made it in zero shield scenarios feel very slow. But now with Wing Attack, you do have better pacing, and I feel like it ends up being a really nice buff for Flamigo, as Flamigo just has very consistent 10-turn pacing to its upper hands, and when you're glassy, you do not want to feel slow to charge attacks, because the whole purpose is you want to try and outpace things or have similar pacing and just win charge attack priority. So in my eyes, this is a pretty significant buff for Flamigo. I definitely wish for some of the limited metas that we had that we could have had this newly buffed Wing Attack Flamigo, because it was pretty strong in Love Cup and some of last season's metas. But I just like seeing when Pokemon, even if they aren't the greatest, get better. So in my eyes, this is just an absolute win. And unfortunately, I can't quite get to the outro just yet because I have to talk about Greedent. Greedent, once again, is just such a strong safe switch Pokemon in this new Open Grade League meta. I really like its ability, even though it doesn't really do much fast move damage. It can fix that with Trailblaze. It's so spammy, it's so bulky. Even if you chip a Greedent, the vast majority of the time, if you chip it and bring something in, even with fast moves and a charge attack, it still won't knock out the Greedent. And Greedent, it just really opens the door to running a lot of fun Glacier Mons, just because Greedent offers such insane consistency across the board, and it does amazingly without having to use shields. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching today's video, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support guys provide to the channel is sincerely appreciated. Thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.